as you know, I'm only 20 years old. I'm a young man, and, I'll be 21 in about 6 months or so, so I still got a long way to go for that. 6 months is a long time. But the most common question I get is how do I stay so disciplined, and how do I do so many things? Am I overworking myself? Is it healthy for being such a young man? And I don't say that to brag. I mean, people ask me that, there's a reason I have older guys who I coach, and older guys who say they admire my habits, because age really is just a number. Time is only as important as, the actions you do within the time that you have, and today I'm going to walk you guys through how to not waste the shit out of your life, man. How to not end up being 30, 40 and having the pain that you have now within your soul. Or if you are that age, you even have to be more urgent. How can you get to the point, and how did I get to that point where I just saved myself from realizing these lessons too late, and not having a good physique, and not making any money, and feeling like I wasted my life, how did I get there? How can you guys get there? And I want to start with the best piece of advice that I have ever received. This is the greatest piece of advice. It has stuck with me since the moment I heard it. And this is given to me by a very smart man as well. Very wise, older gentleman told me this. And he told me that God created everybody equal. And he looked at me and he said, but Tanner, you're 6 feet tall. Tanner, you're white. Your skin, that's your skin color. You're real big, you're real jacked, you're a really big buff guy. And you got red hair, and he started listing these characteristics about me, right? And he said, so how does that make sense that God created everybody equal? That gentleman over there, he's black. Or that dude's got straight hair, you got curly hair. Or he's 5'7", you're 6 foot, or he's 6'7", and you're 6, whatever, And he was saying that. So he asked me a question in return. He said, so how is it that God created everybody equal? And he said, you do still agree that's a true statement, right? And I said, yeah. And he said, but how are we all equal? What do we all have that's equal? And I thought about it for a second, and I thought, I guess we all have brains and blood and organs and things like that. We all have that. That doesn't really define anything. And he said the importance of understanding that God created everybody equal. What does everybody have that's the same? Is we all have 24 hours in a day. We all have 24 hours per day to make the absolute best out of our lives. And I remember hearing that, and I'm going to be honest, the second I heard it, I was like, God, it's pretty cool, I never thought about it that way. But I didn't think that was life-changing advice. I thought it was cool. And then he told me, he said, yeah, that's the one thing. Because that dude's in his 80s, I think, or 70s or something. He's old, man, but he's a successful guy. And he said that's the one thing that's always stuck with him that's led him to his success. And he said, what he said to me is, take the next year, because I see this guy once a year. He said, take the next year and just think about that. Think about that maybe once a day. Write it down a few times here and there. Remind yourself of that sentiment that we all have 24 hours in a day, and see how it changes your life. And the first couple weeks, I would think about it, and then I kind of forgot about it. But a few months later, I just happened to be thinking about it again, and I wrote it down in my journal. And I promise, it sounds like I'm going in a circle. I'm going to tie this back to exactly how I use it in my life now. I wrote it down in my journal, and I said, wow. I kind of forgot about this, but this is an amazing quote. It sounded even better to me because I had been applying it and not applying it and seeing the differences. And I was watching this vlog of this successful YouTuber that I love, man. I've been watching him for a long time. He's big in the self-improvement space. You guys probably know who he is. But I was just watching one of his vlogs, and he was going through one of his apartments, right? His new apartment that he had in downtown Austin. Really cool. And I thought to myself, damn, that's pretty sweet, man. That's an awesome apartment. I wish I had something like that. And I thought to myself too, wow, this guy has the same amount of time to fucking work for his life that I do to work for my life. We have the same amount of time. You're telling me this guy's tenfold smarter than me? You're telling me this guy has some gift that I don't have? Absolutely not. Smart guy, talented guy, but anything he can do, I have the same resources to do it myself. And that is what stems something that is insanely important. And if people ask me, when people ask me, Tanner, how are you, how do you do these things, right? Like, how do you stay off your phone? And how do you, upload a YouTube video every day, hit the gym every single day, with exception to Sunday, and grow your relationship with God? And how do you do all that shit? And I said, it all stems from the belief, which stems from that quote. See, believing you can do something. If I were to talk to you one-on-one, say this wasn't a YouTube video, you were in my car with me and we were having a chat, and I said, do you believe that someday you can have, 20-inch biceps, right? Do you believe that that is possible? You probably say, yeah, I believe it's possible. Definitely possible, Like, anything could happen. Never say never. But there's a difference between that belief and, like, actually being able to see it in your mind, being able to picture it and live it before it happens. Can you actually believe that? Do you see that? Is that coming to you? It's just a matter of time. The answer is probably no. And if it's no, I hate to break it to you, but you'll never get it. Any single person who's ever achieved anything believed they could have it and saw themselves with it before they got it. Any person who's ever earned anything, think about something that you've earned, right? If you've ever gotten 100% on a test in school or an exam at college, or you ever got a promotion at work, right? I guarantee you could at least picture it in your mind and understood the possibilities, how it would feel, what you would say, what you would do differently to get that. You did all that subconsciously without realizing it, and that's why you got it. That's the difference between the hard workers and the average people who kind of get left behind in the world. That's the difference, okay? So when you can solidify your beliefs to the point where you can picture something, your goal is over here, but you can imagine yourself grabbing it, taking it out of thin air, putting it into your soul and truly having that goal. That's when you could actually start to achieve things. And that belief that I had to get in great shape stemmed from that topic. I said, wow, all I had to do was see another human being who had it. Okay, that dude has a great physique. What does he have that I don't? He doesn't have any more time. I probably got more time. And I remember the first day I started dedicating myself to lifting, the day I never turned back, the day that's coming for you guys, or that you might have already hit and you just don't know how to apply it yet. Or you need to understand this before it actually activates, right? That's why this video is so powerful. The day that I started Never Looked Back, it was 2020, I was in high school. And I remember it was after we came back for school from that big long break that we had. I can't say it, but you guys remember what happened in 2020, right? And I just sat at home all day. I still didn't fucking lift. I wanted to. I definitely wanted to at that point in my life, but I still didn't do it consistently. I gave up. And I remember I was sitting in school. This was like 3 days before. This was like Thanksgiving, like 3 days before it shut down again. And I remember, and I didn't know that yet, but I remember thinking, wow, if I ever get the opportunity to be at home for 3 months straight, or even a month, ever again, I will 1000% dedicate my life to getting in better shape, because there's nothing better to do. There's nothing better to do, and I fully internalized that. And I had the time. And I remember saying that to myself. I remember actually feeling and living that. And I said that to myself, and like 5 minutes later, I promise you, 5 minutes later, I got called down to the principal's office that day. They said, Tanner Powell, down to the principal's office. And I'm thinking, oh, shit. And it was that bullshit where, like, if you were close to somebody who had the stuff that happened back then, they sent you home and tested you and all this bullshit, all this stupid, soft, pussy bullshit, right? But I'm glad it happened, because I remember I went home and I sat there. I was sitting in the science lab, fucking being away from everybody else because I couldn't be close to anybody else. And I was thinking, yep, I'm going to go home and lift. And I went home and I lifted and I had motivation and I never looked back. I haven't missed. I mean, back then I'd work out like every other day, but I haven't missed what I told myself I was going to do since then. I hated it. I hated it for years, having the joy to actually do it the right way and be consistent forever. That comes from different places. You need to be around high level guys. That's why I have my program, and the guys that I work with fall in love with it just like that, because that's the system I created. But I had the insane amount of discipline. I think God gave me the power to go the hard way for years because it's my passion to teach. And I wouldn't have been able to teach if I hadn't been through it myself. I don't teach about anything I haven't been through myself. I don't come on here and tell you I'm going to make you $50,000 a month because I've never made $50,000 in a month. You see what I'm saying? But I can teach about fitness and getting in great shape and loving the gym and building that passion. Because you probably look at me and you think, oh yeah, like, you know, that guy's in great shape or whatever. And he probably just likes working out. He probably always did, or he probably has good genetics. I have none of that. I have decent like muscle insertions, right? Like, I'm not complaining about that, but like nothing that you probably don't fucking have. You know what I'm saying? And guess what else I got? The same 24 hours to get in shape that you have. You just have to activate your mind and build the belief to the point where you can see it, feel it, taste it, touch it. You can become the man who deserves it instead of just wanting some random infinite goal that you can't even get yourself to. And that's the difference between somebody who doesn't achieve their goal and somebody who does. Somebody who gives up in the gym versus somebody who stays forever. Because I'm telling you, you might think like, oh yeah, you know, I'm at the point where I'm never going to quit again. Oh yeah? You're going to want to quit. I promise you, you're going to want to fucking quit. I promise you, you're going to want to quit. I've been lifting, this is like 6 years ago, this story was. Almost 5.5 years. You know, I've been lifting for almost 6 years. I still want to quit sometimes. I still don't want to show up to the gym every day. And I love it. I love the gym, man. I usually want to show up to the gym. I'm usually excited to pour my pre, listen to my music, and get going. But I'm not fucking ChatGPT. I'm a human being, you know? And it's the same thing for these YouTube videos, man. This is like me doing that cycle all over again. And getting consistent in the gym has given me the ability to understand, okay, I don't want to do it today, but guess what? That's normal. I know. I already know that's coming. It's going to click eventually, right? That's the only reason I can post every day. I don't love sitting here explaining, giving all my energy out every single day, being tired as fuck, editing, doing this and posting every day. I don't miss. I've never missed since I've got on my grind, by the way. You could check that for yourself. But I do it. Because I've proven to myself that the belief is more powerful than all the negative forces and the devil and all this crazy bullshit that's pushing against me. So if you want to take your life seriously, that's something you have to insert into your mind. And it could take years. But I'm giving you all the information you need to do that. If you want to speed up that process, you know, you can talk to me one-on-one. I answer all my DMs on Instagram. I answer all my comments on YouTube. And I'm starting to get a lot of consistent viewers. So my prices are going to be going up for my one-on-one coaching soon. Lucky for you, though, I have... Look at how much shit I post every day for free, man. This style. All day, every day, for free. But if you want to take it to the next level, if you actually want to, you know, be confident with girls, if you actually want to build the body that you want, change your life before it's too late, before you're 40 years old and realize that fucking you had the same opportunities all along, you just didn't realize it, you know what to do. Link is in the description. But I appreciate you guys for watching, man. At least follow me on Instagram because that's where you see my life. That's where you see I'm not a bullshitter. That's where you see I'm actually living how I say I do and teaching the guys how I say I do. But I love each and every one of you guys. Instagram, Tanner Powell. But at least implement the knowledge, because if you don't, it's useless. Good luck to you guys. As always, God bless and have an amazing rest of your day.